So Javi, this is obviously going to be a very informal, flowing kind of conversation here. And I'm going to ask you to indulge me a little bit because I have a whole story about why I wanted to do this with you. And I want to share that. And it's going to take a few minutes. So please give me the space. It got triggered when I was listening to you the night of your show, and when you were talking about your spiritual journey, and you talked about the first third, and then the piece that you played that related to that first third. What's the name of that? Trip, exactly, okay. Yeah. So when I was listening to that piece, I had an experience, and I want to share it with you briefly. I'm a storyteller, so I can get involved, but I'll try to keep it short. Many, many years ago, 1972, I think it was an LSD trip. And somewhere at the end of that LSD trip, the radio was on, and I heard a piece of music. And my reaction as I was listening to that piece of music was every note, every movement of that piece of music triggered in my hallucinatory mind the experience that the composer was having when he wrote that piece of music, how his day was going, who he met, what he said. It was just a complete hallucination on that piece of music. I later, over the following weeks, contacted the radio station, tried to find out who it was, and I think it was a Rachmaninoff concerto or something like that. Anyway, to bring it up to date, I had a very similar experience listening to your trip piece. So
that's good.
Right. So then my mind went in this direction, and this is like the question I have for you. It's at least a two-part question. First of all, can you imagine anyone else playing that piece of music?
It's an interesting question. I would love to hear somebody play it so I can enjoy it as an outsider. So yes, I hope so. Maybe I should even transcribe it on notation so somebody could play it for me. You know?
Given that you're open to hearing someone else listen to it, what do you think your reaction would be hearing that piece of music?
Well, even when I play it, it's a journey, just performing it. So I definitely think as a listener, I will kind of have a similar approach, just kind of more as an outsider and just kind of going with the different transitions and changes and just the flow, the story behind it. So I do think it will make me trip as well. Yeah, that's why I called it trip, you know, because it's a trip both to play it and even when I listen to it on the recordings, I find it very trippy.
What led up to that composition? What was going on?
There was a lot of travels, a lot of experiences. I met a lot of people during that year of my life. I traveled through Germany, Holland, New York, the west coast of the US, Mexico. I went to Coahuila, Guadalajara, Los Cabos. So it was just a lot of experiences packed in 1 year. And that song kind of like, well, it was born out of all those experiences. So it carries my emotional take on everything, also like specific memories that I have. Like when I play it, I remember playing it in a park in Braunschweig in Germany. I also remember writing it and performing it at the canals in Amsterdam, for example. So when I play it, I see all these images of my experiences while I was doing it. And then emotional wise, you know, it was between ecstasy of amazing experiences and meeting people, and then also the loneliness that I will encounter encounter sometimes, just traveling alone with my guitar. I remember walking in New York, exhausted, my feet hurting, and questioning myself, like, why am I doing this? And I remember calling my ex-wife and being like, I don't know, already ex-wife, like, I don't know why I'm doing this. I'm tired, I'm exhausted, I miss my life. Like, because it was a test. I was testing myself on purpose. And that song, it's all about that.
I remember that moment when I had that reaction, like it was all kind of a wonderful piece and glorious and positive, and then there was that discordant chord, and I realized, yeah, it wasn't all beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I now get it when you're describing those other moments in that year.
Yeah, it's a lot of ups and downs, and the song never repeats. I don't know if you remember, like there's not like a verse, chorus, the structure, just like how life is. Life keeps transforming itself.
What were you busking that year? What were you doing in that year? How were you living?
Yeah, it was a mix of busking, actual gigging, lots of open mics, and then I would find even house concerts, actual gigs. I have a story on my plane back from Germany to New York. I had a 24-hour layover in Amsterdam. It was the funniest and amazing 24 hours of my life. I just got out, busked, ended up jamming with another busker. We made money, I made money. I asked him where should I go to find live music. So he led me to one of the biggest venues in Amsterdam. And I approached the singer of the band that was playing. I'm like, can I play during your break? And he allowed me to play during the break. Play 4 songs. One was Bohemian Rhapsody, and the whole venue, maybe 400 people singing it in unison. And I just felt like that ecstasy that I'm talking about, just like, oh my God, this is amazing, But then I had to continue traveling. It's like you cannot attach yourself too much to one thing.
So let's go back a little bit and ask some typical questions. Where were you born?
I was born in Mexico City, and I moved to LA when I was 19.
For your music?
Yeah, I went to study at the Musicians Institute.
MIT or GIT? GIT, cool. And did you finish the program there?
Yeah, I finished GIT, and then I went to Sevilla to study flamenco.
And were you always into, I don't know if pop is the right word, but Bohemian Rhapsody and what you're doing with the more popular songs, was that always something you were into?
Yeah. Well, I grew up with all the classic rock.
Okay.
Clapton, Hendrix, Led Zeppelin, Queen, Bowie. So it's all there, But then I love being Mexican because of the influences that we have, especially in Mexico City. It's such a cultural melting pot, in my opinion. Maybe there's not that much diversity in regards of people. Now there's a lot more than when I was a kid, but musically speaking, you grow up listening to mariachi, boleros from your grandparents, and you hear salsa all the time, and then you listen to all the classic rock and South American music. So I think as Mexicans, we have such a rich cultural luggage that we carry around.
I have a very intelligent and highly cultured friend who even 10, 15 years ago said to me, Mexico City is the most happening city in the world. It's the most, as you're describing, so many influences there.
Yeah. Visually too, not just the music. That's incredible.
How does flamenco fit into all of that? Is that your primary or one of many?
I would say one of many. The reason why I got into flamenco was to challenge myself at first. I did GIT, and I was a shredder, like everybody else in California at the time. When I was done, I was like, I felt depressed and bored at the same time. So I was like, well, let's do something hard. something difficult. So I started like fiddling with the flamenco technique, and then when I went to Spain, I fell in love with it. At first, it was just kind of like a challenge, and then it became kind of an actual passion.
You know, I have very limited experience with flamenco. Of course, I've never studied it. And, you know, growing up, I would hear what people refer to as flamenco or whatever. And then 20, 25 years ago, I went to a concert in Santa Barbara by Paco Peña.
Oh,
Yeah. And
great.
all of a sudden, I realized what flamenco was. Yeah. When I saw the dance and the guitar and the singing, I said, no, I've never heard flamenco. Thank you that I finally heard flamenco.
Yeah, because we mostly know Gypsy King.
Yeah, exactly.
And
exactly.
That's a pop,
Exactly.
pop flamenco.
And it's funny you mentioned that, and I'll tell you something I probably shouldn't say, but I have a big mouth. When I saw the roster of the people attending who were going to perform at the guitar festival, I saw you were, and I went to the first YouTube, and I thought, this guy's just some phony flamenco guy. I'm not interested. So, but then my attitude changed, and also when you were playing that night. I wasn't there at the beginning. I was having a conversation with some of Nancy's friends, some ladies I was interested in getting to know, and I heard you were doing the Bohemian Rhapsody, and I thought, okay, he's doing that. But then I finally went over to watch what you were doing and the audience reaction, and I asked somebody, what was this stuff like before, the last 10, 15 minutes? Oh, even better. So I thank you for that. And the other one, the pop stuff, of course, is going to be exciting for me because I grew up with it as well. The second question, or the second slightly, it's not really an unusual question, is I'd like you to talk about your Godin guitar, your relationship to it, because I know it's a very special instrument, the Godin, and from what I understand. I only know a few people who've ever played, and I've heard a little bit about it, not that I really know, but talk about your guitar.
Well, the reason I picked a guitar like the Godin was because at the festival I played a solo show, but then sometimes I play with a band, with a full band, a drummer, a bass, an electric bassist, sax, whatnot. And when you do a hollow body acoustic guitar, it's hard to reach higher volumes without the feedback and all that kind of stuff. So what I like about the Godin is a solid, pretty much solid body, and the pickup is on the bridge. So I'm capable of really turn it up. I play at high volume, so I can I see it almost as a battle against the drums, because drummers tend to be very loud. So it allows me to be higher than the drums.
Is that the main reason that you can play at high volume with it? There's nothing particularly interesting about the electronics or the action or anything?
Yeah, well, the action is great. Definitely, like the playability is very smooth, very fast attack. It's light, it doesn't weigh too much. I love the guys of Godin. I'm an endorsee of Godin, so they're always there for me. Because I'm a hard player too, so I tend to break the pickups a lot. And so they always help me out with that.
What do you send it back, or they
send me the parts?
They send me the part and put it together.
Yeah.
Okay. How's the COVID thing affecting you? Is it badly? I bet. Huh?
Everything is cancelled.
Yeah, bummer.
Yeah, it's interesting times. Trying to stay positive. I tend to be a positive person whenever there's trauma or any challenge in life. So I see it as an opportunity to reframe a lot of my own system. Like, obviously the system that we live in is one thing, but then we also carry our own system within the system. So I feel this is a great opportunity to reframe who I've been, who can I be, how can I be better at been me without the pressure of work, I guess.
I think there's never been a better time to understand the Chinese expression, with every crisis, there's an opportunity. And
Yeah.
whatever it is this time, I hope we figure out what the opportunity is quickly.
Yeah, well, it's interesting to see how fragile our life is, and we take things for granted, and just this little tiny thing that we cannot even see disrupts it all.
Where are you at in your? You talked about a 9. Did you talk about a 9-year spiritual journey? Did you put a date on it?
Mostly it's been 2, like 2.5. Well, the Gypsy journey started 9 years ago.
Okay, yeah.
And it's the third part that has been really the most
You're in it. The one you're in it now. Okay.
The one that I'm in now. Once I quit drinking, and I actually started doing the things that I already knew I had to do. Like, since I was a kid, I knew the right things to do, and I just always ignored it. So I feel like now I'm actually listening to my inner voice.
And what's the message in the moment? What does it feel like?
The biggest message is to live this reality with purity, like with my pure essence, like allow my essence to be the guidance, like to be the guide of my steps, because I've lived with my brain always, like my mind has always been the one making decisions, choices, saying these things, and now I'm allowing my soul, my essence to be who's doing the talk and the walk.
A few years ago, I finally started saying to people, I'm making decisions from my heart. I know people have talked about that, but I think I'm actually doing it. I think I'm doing it.
But because you feel it.
Yeah,
and we tend to second guess it. Once you feel it, then it goes through this filter, and this filter is the one that like distorts it all, and the questions is like, are you sure? I don't know, maybe you will. So lately I've been just more impulsive, and if I feel either good or bad, I go with it. And then I either move away or like embrace the moment.
Anything else you would like to share?
Anything else I want to share? I don't know. To whoever is watching, to allow music to speak to you. As you know, I do instrumental music, and I think most people want to hear music with vocals. And I do believe that music carries even a deeper message. Like obviously, a singer cannot sing without music. So obviously there's this an energy that comes with the instruments, with the instrumental music. So I invite people that are listening to us right now to give instrumental music a chance in their lives.
As you were speaking, I was reminded of an expression that a spiritual master named Sri Chinmoy, that was back in the day, back in my day, when John McLaughlin and even Santana were starting out. I remember an expression I saw, and I'm going to not get it exactly right, that in the spiritual world, music expresses the inexpressible, only silence expresses it better. Music,
yeah,
something
that's a good one. Yeah, I like that one.
Javi, thank you.
Thank you. The Corona salute.
Oh, here's my latest joke. I had a few Corona beers. I don't want to infect you with Corona breath.
That's a good one.